My favorite. Hi. Hey. 1 second. That's something is wrong here. Zoom. Let's see if it's. Hopefully it's live.
Dror,
all
I'm
right.
meaning to ask you, when the two kingdoms separated, the kings of the 10 northern tribes, were they at all related to David or completely unrelated?
We'll talk about it. Some, not true. All right. So we are going to learn in memory of Yecheskel Nathan ben Alexander Zisha. That's his Shloishim is today. It's Loris's brother. Today is the Shloishim. It's also the yortzeit of Rebbe Elimelech Milizhansk, and very big Hasidic Rebbe from Poland. Anyway, so we are learning Sefer Shmuel, the book of Shmuel 1, the second chapter, Pasuk 27, Chaf Zayin. And we are about to experience like the beginning of the decline of the Jewish people from one of our heights to really the beginning of exile. Essentially, is rooted in the psukim that we're going to learn today. What happened is Eli, he's the judge. We are in the year 3,300 years ago or so. The judge is Eli, and he has two sons. He is the high priest as well. And his two sons are not really playing it nice. They're demanding their portion from the sacrifices. They are grabbing more than they're due, and they are grabbing it earlier than allowed. Typically, the law is that you're supposed to sacrifice to God the piece first, and we'll see how that all played out. Why? But you have to give it to God first, and then there is a portion of that which is given to the Kohanim. And the Kohanim then eat it around the same time that the owner or the person who brought the sacrifice eats their piece. And so they were going. They wanted. I wanted now. They didn't want to wait, and they were creating backlogs in the temple, in the Mishkan. There was a lot of demand. And those who came with the sacrifices, with the pigeon sacrifices that are not really, doesn't have a lot of meat, they didn't. They pushed them to the end of the line, and they delayed it, and they were playing games because all they cared about is their well-being and their piece, their piece of flesh, so to speak.
They wanted chicken.
They wanted a chicken and not a pigeon, exactly. So with that, God really didn't like this arrangement of two guys taking care of themselves in the house of God. It's supposed to be the house of God, and then if you work there, you're going to get what's coming to you as a worker. So he was giving Eli a chance to fix it with his sons. And Eli was sort of telling them, come on guys, but he was talking too nicely. He was a good father, didn't want to be, harsh on them. And so with that, he sort of lost the opportunity. And the next few psukim will describe the monumental punishment that came down upon him. Basically, he got a pink slip, he and all of his family. So, how did that come to be? So, Vayavo Again, it's chapter 2, Pasuk Chav Zayin, 27. Vayavo ish Elohim el Eli. So the man of God came to Eli. Who is this man of God? We'll see in a second. Vayomer elav, and he told him, Ko amar Hashem. This is a very strong words. Very, very sharp. These are the words of God. I'm not rephrasing. I'm not telling you almost. I'm not, sugarcoating it or making it more harsh. This is exactly the words that God told me to tell you. Haniglo nigleti. This is also a question here. What does it mean? It's like a question. Was I revealed, or didn't I reveal it myself? So there are two ways of looking at it. That I revealed myself, or didn't I reveal myself? El bet avicha, to the house of your father when he was in Egypt, to the house of Paro. It's a very confusing statement. So let's take it one piece at a time. Welcome back, and we'll see what it means. So first of all, who is the man that came? The man of God. Ish Elokim, the man of God, the most agree that it's the father of Shmuel, Elkanah. The father of Shmuel was a man of God, was one of our prophets. There is a list of 48 people who were our prophets, 48 men plus 7 women. And he is number 8. Elkanah is one of our prophets. And there were, not all the prophets were called men of God, only 10 of them, and Elkanah is one of them. So it's a pretty important person. Now, there is another opinion that the man of God here means Pinchas. Pinchas, the son of Aaron Kohen, we know lived for many years. Some people mistaken him to be Elijah, because he's that figure that comes and goes, and within a body, without with the body, without the body. But he lived for for hundreds of years. Pinchas. There were a handful of those gentlemen that lived for a long time in our history. So he's one of them. But the problem is, and at the time of Joshua, he sent Pinchas to Yoshua to tell him things. And it was a long time, he was supposed to be an old man by then. Actually, but at the time of Yoshua, no. At the time of Yoshua, he was not old. At the time of Yiftach was one of the judges in the middle, and he is the judge that was fighting our war against the Ammonites, and he was vowing to sacrifice the first person who will greet him after his victory. The first who will greet him, thinking that the cows will come to greet him first, and it was his daughter instead. And so that's when Pinchas was the acting high priest at the time, which was hundreds of years after he was born. So some say that the man of God here is Pinchas as well, because he was called there man of God, so here is called the man of God. It's the same. The problem with that is that he couldn't have been the one to deliver this message, because the message is that you're not going to be the high priest Eli, I will. my part of the family will be, because we know that Aaron had 4 sons. 2 of them passed away because they came to service God drunk, and 2 of them remained, Elazar and Itamar. Elazar is the father of Pinchas, and Itamar is the great-grandfather of Eli. Now, which one is Elazar was older, and Elazar was the one who received the baton of being a high priest first. And so he and Pinchas got were anointed, so to speak, as the high priests of that generation. And typically that goes, a high priest gives birth to a son, and it stays in the family. typically that type of it's not a must like with a king, but typically that's what happened. So the side of the family of Elazar were the high priests until a certain point, and then it was transferred. We'll see when. And then it was transferred to Eli. It was transferred to Eli because Pinchas was not really doing the right thing. He was not performing his duties properly. What happened with Pinchas? Why wasn't he performing his duty properly? When was it? If you recall, when we learned the end of the book of Shoftim, we learn about the terrible events of the Pilegesh Bagiva, the concubine that was raped and was dismembered, and it was a terrible immoral type of behavior. And at the time, almost the entire tribe of Benjamin was wiped out. The complaint that was raised against Pinchas, that he was supposed to just get out of Shiloh at the time and go around the land of Israel and preach to the people, to be mentions, to teach them to do the right thing, and he didn't do it. So the baton of the high priesthood was taken away from him and was given to Eli, to the family of Itamar, to the other son of, and it stayed with Eli until now. And we will see how now it's being taken away from him and returned back to the other to the side of Elazar, to Pinchas. So why am I saying all of that? Because if Pinchas is going to be the beneficiary of this kind of a message, he cannot be the delivery man. That's it's a conflict of interest. So most people agree that he was not the messenger. So what did he say? Now, he said something very interesting, and we're going to learn it a little bit according to the Malbim. So that comes with an intro. Kohanim, the priests, right? What is their job? Are they the messengers of the people? Or are they the messengers of God? Who are they working for? Are they working for God, or are they working for the person?
You're the go-between.
But who are they?
Can it be both?
So that's the question. Who are they, and can it be both, and why both? And so there is, soon in a couple of weeks, we're going to learn we're going to read the parasha of Vayikra, which talks about all of the sacrifices, and then we're going to read the parasha of Tzav, which repeats a lot of the sacrifices, but from a different aspect. And the question is, why are we repeating it? So the answer that's given, one of the answers, is that we are repeating it. First, we're going to talk in Vayikra about how the sacrifices are coming from the person's perspective. And in Tzav, we're going to talk about the Kohanim perspectives, how they are, what they're doing with it. Now, so what is a Kohen? Is a Kohen, the question is, are they a messenger of the person, of Am Yisrael, or the messengers of God? So there are two spots in the Gemara, two places in the Gemara, and they, just for kicks, they say the opposite things. So in one place it says as follows. There is a rule that Shlucho shel Adam kmoto, a messenger is like the person. So when I send someone to perform a task for me as my messenger, it's as if I did it. It's working. It's being discussed, especially in kiddushin. If somebody is marrying a woman, so they send the ring with someone and says, go and give this ring to that woman and tell her that I want to marry her. And it's as if the person did it himself. It's allowed. Nowadays, people don't do it. So the rule is that only what I can do, I can send someone else to do for me. If I cannot marry my sister, okay? I cannot take a Kohen who is not a relative and say, go give this ring to my sister and have a marriage. You can't. If I can't do it, I cannot make you a messenger to do it. Can a Jew, a regular Jew, a regular Israel, can they sacrifice a korban? No. We're not allowed to go in. We're not allowed to go on the altar. We're not allowed to do all those things. So how can we make the Kohen our messenger? So the Gemara is asserting, therefore we understand that the Kohen is working for God. He's not working for us. Now, there is support for it where we say, what is the Kohen getting in return? So the language is that they're getting from the fire of God. The sacrifice is being put on the altar to be consumed by the fire of God. And then it says, Vehanotar, and whatever is left from the fire of God, I'm giving the Kohanim. So God is allocating a portion from His portion. He's giving a little piece to the Kohanim. So, as a payback for their service. So they're working for God. Now there is another Gemara that's talking about vows. Somebody is promising something. It used to be more common, and it's frowned upon to do that, but the law is as follows. A person can say, I vow not to enjoy anything that you do. A person will, about a specific person, they don't want anything to do with you, with that person. So the question is, if a person said it about a Kohen, Israel walked into a Kohen and says, I want nothing to do with you. I'm vowing not to use anything that you produce. Are they allowed to use the Kohen as the go-between? Can they bring their sacrifice and give the Kohen, hey, Charlie, you be the one to, even though I said I don't want anything to do with you. So the ruling in the Gemara for that is that no, we cannot use the Kohen because he is our messenger. If the Kohen was a messenger of God, so, at that moment, when I come to the Kohen, he's representing God, so the fact that I vow not to use that person, it's God standing here, it's instead of God. So the fact that I cannot use you, that means that you're my messenger. So that's what the Gemara is asserting in this place. So we have two opposite places. In one place it says a Kohen is working for God, and in another place the Kohen is working for the Jewish people. So which one is it? So as you first said, it's both, depending when. When the Kohen is doing the sacrifice, stuff that the Jew is not allowed to do, that's working for God. To go on the altar, to put the blood on the altar, that's working for God. But when the Jew is coming with, I want to repent and I want forgiveness from God, please go get my forgiveness from God. So for that, you're working for me. So it's two different shlichuyot, two different messages that are working in tandem. Okay, why did I tell you all this beautiful story? It's because what's going on in the next few psukim, it's going in those two lines. Whether there is a whole discussion in each pasuk, there are two parts. There is the part that refers to the Kohen as the messenger of God, and the part that refers to the Kohen as the messenger of the people. And here it says, "Aniglo neglected." That's why I said, "I revealed myself." God is saying that He revealed Himself in Egypt to the priests of Pharaoh. And the priests of Pharaoh are neither messenger of the people nor messengers of God. But I revealed myself to you, to the Jewish people. And the next pasuk, it will say that, and I gave you all these great stuff. I provided for you. I gave you all these benefits. I chose you to service me. But this choosing happened way back 440 years before, 400 years before where we are now, when we were in Egypt. Now, if you look in the now, who is it's saying here in the pasuk that God revealed Himself to the house of your father, meaning God revealed Himself to Aaron. But where is it saying in the Torah that God revealed Himself to Aaron in Egypt? It's not saying anywhere. So then we have to jump, in order to see that, to understand that, we have to jump 886 years fast forward to Isaiah. Ezekiel. Yechezkel is giving a prophecy, and in that prophecy he's telling us the story of what happened in Egypt. And what happened in Egypt is, before Moshe came to rescue the Jews from Egypt, God already revealed Himself to Aaron, who stayed behind with the Jews. And Aaron was trying his hardest to get them all to do the right things. In Pesach, which is also coming not far from now, we're going to learn that 80% of the Jews remained in Egypt and died during the time of the darkness. Only 20% of the Jews came out. What happened to those 80? Those 80 didn't listen to the prophecy of Aaron. Aaron was telling them, be a mensch, and keep our ways, and don't be drawn into the ways of the Egyptians. And they didn't listen. So that is, Ezekiel is revealing that was the prophecy that he's talking about here. That the prophecy that was given to Aaron in Egypt. That's the house, that's the father of all the Kohanim. Anyway, so
is that why Aaron was coming out to beat Moses when Moses was going back to Cairo or to wherever he came?
To Goshen.
Goshen?
Yeah, he came to greet him. He indeed came to greet him. Because God sent him there. Yeah, God is in contact with him, of course, exactly. Now, there is one more piece of information which is very, very famous in this pasuk. It says, "Aniglo neglected," that God revealed Himself. God revealed Himself in Egypt. That sounds a little bit counter to what happened. In Egypt, we were in the darkest exile. God is not revealed in Egypt. God is hidden in Egypt. So what does it mean, revealed in Egypt? What? So the rabbis are, and it's being quoted all over in this day and age, that God is saying to the Jews that I am with you in exile. Wherever you go, I go. And in Hebrew, you have a lot of words that are funny, that means one thing and then exactly the opposite. Galut, exile, means total darkness. God is not seen, right? Now, how do you say revealed in Hebrew? Galui. Galui, galut, the same root, same word. So, God is sending us to the galut, to the exile, but He is revealing Himself in the exile to us in all kinds of ways to help us throughout. And He is going to come out with us from that exile. So that's a niglo neglected. This is the rabbis are learning from this pasuk. Very interesting. Anyway, but let's not stop here. The man of God is telling him, listen, I revealed myself to your ancestor, and I chose you. Ubachoroto mikol shiftei Israel. I chose you from all of the tribes of Israel. And this is the part of where we say, God is saying, you are my messenger. I chose you for me, to work for me as a Kohen. Right? And he's keep counting all of the benefits, all of the amazing benefits that the Kohanim will have from working for God. One of them is they will be the only ones that will be allowed to walk up the ramp of the altar. They are the only one that will be allowed to sacrifice the essence in the holy part of Bet HaMikdash. They are the only one. The essence is in the holy, not in the holy of holies. I mean, only on Yom Kippur is in the holy of holies, right? But every day is just in the home. Lasset ephod, they're going to be the one to carry the breastplate, the high priest breastplate, in front of God. And then he switched, and then he switched to justify the fact that the Kohanim are also working for the Jews. And I gave to the house of your father all of the fires of the Jews. It doesn't say here that he gave from his portion of the fire. He gave from the fire of the Jews to say to us that the Kohen has a dual task here, a dual messengership. He is the man of God, but he's also the man of the people, the holy man of the people. And all of that was given as a gift to the Kohanim. Now, interesting, you asked me before about when the kingdom was split. When the kingdom was split, it's about 60 years from now, from where we are now, 60, 70 years from now, the kingdom would split. And 97 years from now, the kingdom would split. So, in 97 years, the kingdom would split to the grandson of David, Rechavam, and to another gentleman, Yerovam ben Nevat. Okay? He took the other 10 tribes and established the kingdom of Israel. But he didn't have the Bet HaMikdash, he didn't have the temple, and he didn't have priests with him, because all the priests stayed in Jerusalem. So he was trying to recruit priests, and he says, guys, let's go work idols, because they're more forgiving. When you deal with the Jewish God, he's taking the special people and make them priests. The idol worshippers, they're taking the hoodlums. They're taking the least important people, the 99%. So he was doing what a lot of populists are doing nowadays. You know, they're going to the people who are not really holding important positions and getting them all riled up. And so this is, and he would, so the rabbis are saying, this is what he would quote. He would quote, listen, you need to be special. Only the special ones, only the 1%, are allowed to service God. Not by me. So come to me and join me. That was one of his candies to the people. Anyway. So then the next pasuk, 29, he is so the man of God is continuing to complain to deliver the message from God to Eli, and says, Lama tiv'atu bezivchi u'beminchati. Why do you kick my sacrifices and the donations that were given to me and the presents that were given to me? This is disgusting, because we know that the rabbis are telling us that they were walking around like gangsters, and they're in charge, and they would kick, you coming with these pigeons. So they would kick it, as or you came with this lamb. It's not such a small lamb, Why don't you come with an ox? They would kick them right and left, really with their feet in a very disgusting and dismissive way. So why are you? So this is the side of the messengers of God. Why are you kicking my, people are coming to you to give me stuff, and you're kicking it? You're working for me. What's going on here? אשר ציוויתי מעון, ותכבד את בניך ממני, להבריאה מראשית כל מנחת עמי לישראל. מנחת ישראל לעמי. I'm just going to translate it all in one shot because it's very weird sentence. And he says, so why are you kicking the stuff that's being brought to me, that I commanded the Jews to bring to me, and they brought it to my house. They brought it to a house. They brought it to a house. It doesn't say my house anymore. This is the first hint to us that this is no more the house of God. This is the beginning of the end for Shiloh. It doesn't say my house. It says you bring it to a house, to Ma'on. To what? Ma'on. Just to a place, to a place of living. But it doesn't say mine, because it was doomed already. At that point, it was doomed already. Now, the place itself was not burned down. The place itself was not destroyed. It was just abandoned. What happened is God just kicked out the Kohanim and made it not worth it for the Kohanim to be there, because the ark was taken away, and he took the juice out of it, and it became it just dissipated. So in this first attempt, after 369 years of having the house in Shiloh, the house of God in Shiloh, the house was not destroyed like in the first and second temple. The house was abandoned. So it's sort of in stages. This is like the easy way out. It was. And then the second part of the pasuk is talking about the messenger of the people. The messenger of the people is being rebuked for honoring his sons more than honoring God, more than honoring the people. The people are coming with their stuff, and the people are coming, Mereshit Kol Minchat Israel, the people are bringing their donations, and you are taking it for yourself to be fat, to be healthy, to feel good about yourselves. And here he's not talking to Eli in third person. He's not talking about the sons of Eli. He's talking to him directly. You also benefited from it, because when the kids came home with the extra steak, Eli also ate from it. It was, Eli was 98 years of age at the time, 97 years of age. He didn't go and cook for himself, apparently, and he was staying with his kids, and whatever the kids did benefited him. So he is also being faulted for doing that. Now, last time we were also talking about the fact that there is a statement over there that there was some disgusting relationship between the sons of Eli and the women that came to sacrifice. It's mentioned, it's written as if they were, running around with those women. And the truth is, the rabbi says that it's not true. They were causing the women a lot of anguish. They were causing the women to not be with their husbands. They were delaying their sacrifices, but they didn't really do anything wrong with the women themselves. How do we know that? Because when the man of God is coming to rebuke someone, they will not say, if someone, stole millions of dollars from the U.S. government, they're not going to arrest him and say, hey, you jaywalked. So the two problems of desecrating the donation that people brought in and going around and being with somebody else's, with another man's wife, which one is more important? Obviously, dealing with another man's wife is much more important than kicking a pigeon. So, but the man of God is just mentioning the kicking of the donations to tell us that that other sin didn't really happen. It was just a matter of speech to tell us how the gravity of their actions, but not that they actually did something that bad in the Holy Temple. Anyway, so then the next pasuk 30, לכהן, so the man of God continues and says, and therefore, the words of God are, God Elokei Israel, the words of God our Master, and Mo Amarti, I said that your house and your house of your father are going to be in front of me forever. Meaning, I gave you guys a chance to service me forever. When God gives a position of power, of authority to someone, they give it with the idea that that person can keep it forever, and their family can keep it forever. And the reason people don't keep it forever is because we do the wrong thing. It's our choice to mess it up, and we take the choice to mess it up. God takes it away, but from God's perspective, He had in mind, if you guys are able to hold on to it, it's yours. It's yours to lose. That's the saying. It's coming from here. It's yours to lose. So what happens with Pinchas? Pinchas was, if you recall, before they crossed the river, because before the Jews crossed the river, the Jordan River, to go into the land of Israel, Pinchas was young at the time, and he performed some heroic act. He was killing two people who were an important Jewish president of a tribe of Shimon, was having a relationship with one of the daughters of Moab in the center of the camp. He said, I'm going to do whatever I want. And he came and killed them both in front of everybody. And by doing so, really sanctified the name of God in front of everybody. And so God is now saying, you're the guy that made me, gave me honor. And yes, a few years ago, you made a mistake and I took it away from you. But what you did for me far suppresses what you did against me, so I'm going to honor you. But those guys who really did against me are going to be totally dismissed. They're not going to, a lot of them are going to die. A lot of them are going to, their great grandsons, the sons of the sons, the grandsons of Eli, will die young. The whole family is forever not going to live a long life, and they're not going to be able to carry on that task. So it says, so I originally had in mind to give you that honor forever, but now Neum Hashem, now it's a sealed deal. There is no more time to do tshuva. Once the gavel is down and it's the judge, the Supreme Court justices, gave their word, their final verdict. That's it. There is nothing you can do about it. It's a done deal. So now, V'ata Neum Hashem Chalil Ali, I am not. It's a language of swearing. God was swearing that I am going to give honor to those who honors me, and I'm going to yekalu. We'll explain in a second, to those who do not honor me, those who booed me. Right. So what is yekalu? Lekalel, number one, but they're going to be, but the kalu is not lekalel, is with two lamets. It's to make light. Yekal, they're going to be light, they're going to become lightweights. All of the stuff that I gave to them, I'm going to lift it again and they're going to be lightweights. That's number one. Number two, there is a, in the center of town, it used to be, if you wanted to shame someone, there was used to be a pillar. And you would tie someone there, those who shoplifted, pillory, right? It's in the center of town. You would shame them. It was a pillar of shame. The pillory, in Hebrew, pillar of shame. It's called amud kalon. Kalon is from the word kal. When someone becomes light, weak, light. It's not a person to deal with. You go. What? Exactly. So now there is a message here. We had in our history many different prophets, hundreds of prophets, but only 48 are considered prophets that are officially, our major prophets. Why worthy? Why? Because those gave prophecies that pertains to the Jewish people for all time to come. So this is another. So each one of those psukim has something for us to learn for forever. So one of the things that we learn from here is that God is saying that he who is giving honor to God, the Talmidei Chachamim, or God is going to give them honor back, and those who are not is the opposite. This is another one of the reasons why the sin of Chilul Hashem is so big. If someone is walking with a yarmulke and doing something bad, and other people see it, it's way worse than if they don't wear a yarmulke and do it, because. If they don't wear a yarmulke, maybe it's not, what?
Shame on all Jews.
It's a shame on all Jews and a shame in the name of God. So this is one of the things that the rabbis are learning from here. And another thing that this also has to do with the Goyim. How so? The story goes that when God was talking to Pharaoh, Pharaoh was walking out to the field or to the Nile to talk to God, and he walked with his entourage. Now, typically, when a king goes, first you have the first team that comes to prepare the place, and then you have the guards, and he comes at the end. But Pharaoh walked in front, and his people told him, how come you're going in front? It's not fitting, ain't fitting, it's not to your honor. He said, what are you talking about? I'm talking to the creator of the world. He's way more honorable than I am, so I'm going first. So God said, you honored me, so I'm going to honor you. I'm going to personally kill you. when time comes for you to get your punishment, I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to do it with honor. I'm personally going to do it for you. Sancheriv, which is the gentleman who took the 10 tribes away, and he finally experienced defeat in the gates of Jerusalem. He was cursing God. When they told him, God is in this city, this is the city of God, he was cursing God and said, the hell with him, I'm not really in a serious way. So he ended up, his end came with shame, with the hands of his own sons. His own sons killed him, and he came home without his beard he became sick, and his beard fell, and he got some disease. He came home in shame. So when someone honors God, even though they're the enemy of God, but if they have respect for God, God is going to respect them back. And if they don't have respect for God, God is not going to respect them at all. So that is So yeah, I think we will finish here. We'll continue next time.